unto him, Abraham, and he said, behold, here I am. Verse 2. And he said, take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. Church, Moriah is a location. God is being specific when he say Moriah. He told Abraham that he is going to offer a burnt offering upon one of the mountains. And God said, I will tell you the mountain. God is specific when he wants to give you instruction. It is not all places that you will place your offering to God. He will tell you where and when. God is always specific with his instructions, and we just have to listen to him. God did not tell Abraham to go where he wanted to go, or say just go to any mountain. He sent him to the land of Moriah. And he said, look, I will tell you which mountain you will offer that burnt sacrifice to me. Sometimes God will give us instruction as his children, and we don't listen. At times we do whatever we think it's best at the time. Like we know more than God. Yeah, it's true. And as I always said, I never take myself out of the equation. But sometimes we think we know what's best. We'll pray to God about something, and then we're trying to do it ourselves. And then when things go sideways, then we go back to the same God, and we're having an argument with God. It is impossible to do God's work. And we're always trying to do his work. It's like most time persons have a saying, say, God take the wheel. But we're still hanging on to the wheel. And God say, okay, you're telling me to hold on to the wheel, and you're still holding on to it. That means you don't trust me. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. No. It's either all in or all out. So today I will speak on the topic caption, the benefit of the mountain. The benefit of the mountain. You know what? Put an S on that. The benefits of the mountain. What most persons didn't realize is that I think Abraham was like 100 years old. And Abraham and Sarah, they didn't have any children whatsoever. But God blessed them. God showed them mercy. Even when the angels came and they were talking to Abraham and Sarah heard, she was laughing inside. In her spirit, she was laughing, and she's like, really, God? I'm like, Abraham is 100, I'm like 99, like I'm past childbearing age. Like, really? How am I going to bring forth a child into this world? Everyone is going to laugh at me like, how is it going to be possible? But with God, every and anything is possible. Before I got to the Dunamis Palace, like, I used to limit God. And even sometimes you'll falter and like you're limiting God. I have to pull back myself and I said, Lord, have mercy. Forgive me. Because there's no limit on our God. No limit. The moment you put a limit on him, that leads to failure. That leads to disaster. Because as I said, you have to trust him all in, or you don't trust him. You can't say you trust him today and then tomorrow you change your mind and like, you know what, I don't trust him anymore. No. The same God that blessed Isaac and Sarah with that son Isaac was the same God one day came back and said, look, I need what I have given to you. And honestly, church, like, whosoever have like children, or even if you don't have children, somebody that you love, a aunt, a dad, mom, whosoever, your spouse, just imagine that you were living without that loved one and you pray to God and say, God, I need that person in my life. I need that spouse. I need that child. I need that someone that I can love. And then a few years after that, God come back to you and said, you know what? What I have given unto you, I need it back. I need you to sacrifice that person to me. Honestly, like, I have Kai. You guys know Kai. And if say God came to me like when Kai was just born, I even have a year or two or a few years after that, and God said, Alvin, Jodian, I need you guys to sacrifice Kai. Put him on an altar. Kill him. I would say, that's not God. The God that I know, I would say, no, that's not God. I would bind it up and say, I bind you up. And yep, I would pray to God and say, no. Because I'm like, God is telling me to sacrifice my child. But as I said, there's no limit on God. If you know the voice of your God, anything that God tells you to do, don't question it, because he can do any and everything. The problem we have most times is that we don't know his voice. We have some of us, we don't know his voice. And then the devil, as I said, come like the angel, appear like an angel of light. So if you don't know the difference between God's voice and that serpent, then sometimes when God is talking to you, you'll think that it's that serpent. Or when that serpent is talking to you, you'll think that it's God. That's why Bishop always said we have to have a personal relationship with God. I cannot have a relationship with God for Jody or vice versa. She has to have her own personal relationship with him. You have to know him personally. So how would you feel? But as I said, no limit. It's just like you have your children. If they're lost and they're calling your name and you hear them, you know, you can identify them. They the burnt off unto the question most persons wouldn't even ask or even think it's important. When all of this was going on, when Moses rose up, took Isaac, the servant, where was Sarah? In all of this, where was Sarah? But as I said, God is so powerful, so loving, like the intelligence of God, like it's beyond our human comprehension. And I always tell persons when they ask me sometimes to explain God, I'm like, with this 3-pound brain that God blessed me with, how can I fathom his even his existence? That's why he's God, because I cannot fathom him. I cannot. When I was growing up, I tried to figure out how God came about. And honestly, I almost went mad. And my mom had to stop me. My mom is like, you're human. You cannot fathom that. It's beyond human comprehension. So I told persons, if I could figure out like 50% of what God was doing, I would try to figure the next 50 out. He wouldn't be worshiping. But 99.99999% of what God is doing, I have no clue or idea. And growing up, even before I got here, I used to sometimes join with persons when they say, okay, yes, they have rewritten the Bible over and over and they change this and change that. But as I said, God started revealing things to me through Bishop. And you know what I realized? God said it doesn't matter what they do, they cannot change his word. Because guess what? Back in the days, the Bible was written. Even now, there's messages in the Bible that they are encoded. It doesn't matter how they try to rewrite it. There's certain messages, they're encoded. And that's how God reveals different things to different persons based upon the relationship that you have with him. So that's why sometimes persons will say, you know what? Christianity or the Bible is contradicting. It's not. You and I can read just one sentence of a verse. But based upon the relationship that we have with God differently, he will reveal different things to me versus you. Then when we come together and we're talking about it, we're like, it's contradicting, because why God tell you that and tell me this? But if we just sit down and just listen to ourselves and listen to God, listen to the Holy Spirit, we will realize that, look, it's the same, it's just different revelation. It's like a step, levels, based upon the relationship that you have with him. So where was Sarah in all this? And everything is encoded in the scripture. Literally, basically, God is telling you that there's a certain journey that you will go on that you don't need certain persons with you. Most times God will tell us, like, look, I'm sending you on this journey alone. Or I'm sending you with this person. But no, you want to bring somebody else with you. And when things don't work out as planned, then you throw a tantrum and you're having an argument with God. But he knows why. Look at Abraham again. When God tell him, look, take your family and leave, he brought Lot with him. God didn't tell Abraham to bring Lot. And you know the meaning of Lot? The meaning of Lot means a veil. So for a while, God didn't even have a conversation with Abraham for a long time. Lot means a veil, covering. But God still showed mercy unto Abraham. And you guys know the story. It reached a point where Lot's servants and Abraham's servants were always quarreling, having a fight. Because God didn't want you to bring anyone. He is specific in his instructions, but you choose to carry Lot. But as I said, God is a merciful God, and Abraham was a wise man. So he said, you know what? I love you. I don't want us to have any problem. So tell you what, choose the best of lands that you want. And Lot choose the best that he thought was the best at the time. Sodom and Gomorrah. And because of Abraham's petition, Lot was saved with his 2 daughters. God still had mercy. Lot was captured. Abraham had to go with his trained servants to get him back. So all of these things that Abraham went through with Lot, if he listened to God and just went with his family, he's still going to bring us to that place. But guess what? It could have been an easier route to that place. We could accomplish more reaching that place. But because we didn't listen, we go through all these trials and all these problems. Don't get me wrong. As believers, we're going to go through it. But sometimes we add more because we don't listen. Your journey with God is a personal journey. If you don't write down anything, write down this. Your journey with God is a personal journey. It's a personal one. Before Isaac was born, God told Abraham, look, you'll be the father of nations, of many nations, not just one, many nations. So now, I'm wondering, okay, what Abraham was thinking there. God said, I'm going to be father of many nations. You blessed me with Isaac, now you're going to take him away. But as I said, Abraham did not hesitate because he knows his God. He didn't put a limit on God. Remember, God called Abraham his friend. A friend is much closer to you than a family. Most persons don't know the true meaning of friendship. A friend is even more closer to you than your family. A real friend. Could you put on the screen, still Genesis 22, give me verse from verse 5. And it reads, and Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass. That he's talking about his servants. And I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. Let that just remain right there. Abraham told his servants, look, stay here. Don't come further. Stay here. My son and I will go further away to worship. When we finish worship, we'll come back to you. There is some places in your life or stages in your life that God will say you don't need these additional persons with you. You need to go on this journey by yourself, or you need to go on the journey with your spouse or with your child or with this person. But God is saying, okay, you don't need these additional persons. They were only there for a specific time and a specific season. And as I said, most times that's why, God will send prophecies to us and they're not fulfilled. And we're like, okay, the man of God was not hearing from God. No, we don't listen. Because sometimes God is saying, okay, I need you on this journey alone. But no, you need to draw somebody along with you. And God is like, no, I brought that person in your life, but that person was just for a specific time, for a specific season, for a specific purpose. It has been accomplished. Let them go. It's like you pray to God and say, God, please release me from this burden, from this baggage, but you're still holding on to it. And you're wondering why you're having these problems, why you're having these issues, because you're still holding on to it. It's not everyone that calls you love, dear, sweetheart, baby, sugar plum, all those pretty stuff. It's not everyone that calls you those names. It doesn't mean that they're qualified to go into another realm or take another stage with you. No, it doesn't matter how much they love you or how much you love them. You have to listen to God. There are certain stages in your life that you and you alone have to travel. Your husband, your wife can't do it with you. Sometimes they'll be upset with you. What you want on that great day, he said, depart from me, I know you're not. Can your husband, can your wife, can your kids, or anybody else help you on that day? It's better they're upset and God is happy than the other way around. It doesn't matter how qualified you are. There are certain heights that you were not built for, you were not made for. And it's just like any sector in this world. Same thing in the church. Like some persons, they're so envious, like they want everything. Okay, Bishop said, okay, you should preach. Oh, but I'm in the church.